The following program is to provide entertainment and information. It is not considered to be any legal or investment advice. Good morning, appraisers. Let's talk some real estate. You're listening to the voice of Appraisal, the #1 appraisal podcast in America today that brings you the latest news and information from the front lines of the real estate market. Anything from market conditions, appraisal regulation, chronic bifurcation, big bank news. Folks, you have a question, we have all of your answers. We have the one-stop source for all of your real estate appraiser information needs. If you want to be in the know, you have definitely tuned in to the right show. I'm your host, Phil Crawford. Happy to have all of you here with us today. Kevin is not with us. He has other duties inside of the radio station, so I will be flying solo today, but that's okay because I've got a lot of news and information to go over today, folks. This is just absolutely unbelievable. I have never been more excited in my entire life to be a real estate appraiser than I am now. I'm telling you this. It is absolutely unbelievable what is taking place in 2019. We kind of knew it would, but I didn't know it was going to roll out as easy as it has. And at Appraiser Fest 2018, we designed that entire conference to get appraisers ready for the great transition into consumer-based products because we knew that the banks were going down this bifurcated path. And the bifurcation, folks, I don't know if that's going to stick or not, but right now they are moving full force ahead with bifurcated products. And if they're going to be legal, if they're not going to be legal, all of this stuff. Look, the bottom line is this. Every single state out there, every single state regulator, you need to make a decision right now as if you're going to make bifurcated products legal or illegal in your state. It's not fair for real estate appraisers who are out there doing bifurcated appraisal assignments to be in the dark when it comes to regulation. We can't be looking behind our shoulder every 2 or 3 months when a state says, oh, yes, they are legal or they're not legal. This is not fair. You have to make a decision in your jurisdiction. I think there's 55 of them. If you're going to accept bifurcated products where somebody else goes out and does the interior inspection, if you're going to accept those in your state and in your jurisdiction, you got to make a call on it, and you have to make a call right now. Because I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not fair to appraisers out there that are sitting there going, do I do these things? Do I not do them? I got to make money. These are a way for me to make money. This is not regulating correctly. You got to make a call, folks. You got to make a call, and you have to do it now. So bifurcating is taking place in the big banks. Now, we've got something going on when it comes to the consumers. We have to deal with consumer protection. And this is where the appraisal profession, of course, is going. This is what we discussed a lot of at Appraiser Fest 2018. I remember being on stage, and I said, guys, would you back up a nationwide marketing campaign? And a lot of people said, yes, they would. And, of course, we developed that. That was already in the works, that being developed at Appraiser Fest, called GetMyTrueValue.com. And we got some exciting news when it comes to that as well. But this whole transition into consumer-based products is working out perfectly because the American Bankers Association has given us all a wonderful and beautiful gift. Now, as most of you remember, on the last show that we did, I discussed the increasing of what is known as the de minimis. It's the loan amount. It's the exposure that a loan has on federally related transactions. And right now, the current de minimis is $250,000. Of course, the Treasury Department, the OCC, the Federal Reserve, they want to increase the de minimis to $400,000. And I told you all last week about how many people out there, the National Association of Realtors, the state coalitions, everybody is saying that they don't want to have the de minimis increased, except for one group. And that, of course, was the ABA, the American Bankers Association. And the American Bankers Association, in their support of the de minimis, gave us an absolutely beautiful and wonderful gift. I have to explain it to you. This changes everything. This opens up our market. This is a game changer like you have never heard and seen before. For those of you that are members of the industry syndicate listening in, listen. Right now, if you're a real estate agent, you've got to understand one thing. If you have a file that has a PIW in it, it's called a property inspection waiver. If you've got a buyer that accepted a PIW, a property inspection waiver, I firmly believe that that file is dangerous. Because one day, that value could go down, and one day that buyer could come and sue you because you didn't properly represent them. You didn't uphold your fiduciary responsibilities. Well, the American Bankers Association, they came out with a statement. And it's a huge statement. It's a statement that's nothing new. It's been around for a very long time. The only thing is that they really made it clear, and they really started to talk about how this new process, this new faster and cheaper bifurcation is going to be a massive and major concern when it comes to consumer protection. As a matter of fact, they even bring up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. Listen to what I have to say, my dear friends. Listen to what I have to say. This was a letter from February 5th of 2019. It was from Sharon Whitaker. Now, Sharon Whitaker is the Vice President of Commercial Real Estate Finance over at the American Bankers Association. And Sharon lays it out perfectly in her letter for the support of the increasing of the de minimis. Now, listen to what she says in the letter. She states, and she's talking about the agencies. The agencies are the FTC, the OCC, the Federal Reserve. The agencies also cite the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's views that appraisals can provide consumer protection benefits and their concern about potential risks to consumers resulting from an expansion of the number of residential mortgage transactions that would be exempt from Title 11's appraisal requirements. So in other words, people are concerned, especially the CFPB, that raising the de minimis, waiving more and more appraisals, would have a problem when it comes to consumer protection. Now, she goes on further, and I want you to listen to this. This is actually going to be on a tab and on a page at www.getmytruevalue.com. For those of you that are syndicate listeners, go to getmytruevalue.com. Getmytruevalue.com, getmytruevalue.com. Go there and establish a relationship with one of our representative appraisers. You need to have a relationship with an appraiser in the world that we're leading into, in the world that we're creating in the banking system. You need to have a very, very good relationship with an appraiser. They need to be in your phone, in your favorites, in your contacts, just like your home inspectors. The appraisers need to be there. Now listen to what Mrs. Whitaker has to say. Although there may be some ancillary consumer benefit to a bank-ordered appraisal, the reality is that in real estate transactions, the appraisal is not ordered for the benefit of the consumer, but rather for the benefit of the lender. Consumers may and are often advised to obtain an appraisal for their own use as outlined in the purchase and sales agreement. This agreement is an example of a form. Listen to this. This agreement is an example of a form that will require retooling by attorneys and realtors and will and should remain outside of regulation by federal regulators. Did you hear what she just said? First of all, she spoke the truth. She said something that's been the truth for a very, very long time, that the appraisal ordered for the bank is not for the consumer, and the consumer should not rely on the appraisal ordered for the bank to make their purchase decision. The consumer should not rely on it because the consumer is not the intended user nor the client of that appraisal report. What she also says is something that John Russell from the ASA and myself have talked about for almost going on a year on Voice of Appraisal, and that is that consumers may and are often advised to obtain an appraisal for their own use as outlined in the purchase and sales agreement. A lot of those purchase and sales agreements, folks, they have appraisal contingencies that it has to appraise at or above the contract price. So in order for that to happen, consumers should order their own appraisal report. And she goes on even farther, and she says that this agreement is an example of a form that will require retooling. She's basically saying, look, you guys have got to retool all of these forms because consumers need to know this. If we're going to do bifurcated products, if we're going to do AVMs, if we're going to do some other form of valuation, an evaluation for our own personal risk assessment, in the sake of consumer protection, you guys have got to start rewriting forms, coming up with new disclosures so consumers understand that what we're doing when we're chronically bifurcating or we're AVMing or whatever it is we're doing is not to their benefit. She's come out and said it. It's right there. It's perfect for us to transition to a $1 billion consumer-based market, and the ABA has backed us up on it. The American Bankers Association has backed up GetMyTrueValue.com. What a perfect time to come out with a national marketing campaign. It's awesome. It's just absolutely awesome. And real estate agents, you need to know this. You need to understand this. Real estate brokers know this, understand this. You don't need to have the liability that's coming at you 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road when someone claims that your agent did not properly provide them the opinion of market value of that home. And I know what you're saying. Well, I'm just the agent. I'm just there to help them out, to get them that. No, dude, you're the only one in a transaction that has an E&O insurance policy. And if you give it to a good attorney, they're going to find a way to sue you. You need to have your buyers get a real estate appraisal. And if it's not going to be a full appraisal, at least it can be a short form appraisal or even a market valuation consultation so everybody knows what's going on in that transaction. So everybody is protected, especially when it comes to the valuation, because the banks, the ABA is saying, hey, look, don't pay attention to what we're using. Don't use it. Don't use what we're doing to make your decision. That's for us. That's our decision to make. You see what I'm saying? This is absolutely unbelievable. You guys have got to get this letter out. And again, this is going to be a new section on GetMyTrueValue.com called The Bank's Appraisal. This letter goes on a little bit further, and let me get into this just a little bit more. Listen to this really quick. Miss Sharon Whitaker, I think you are a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. I really do. You are the Vice President of Commercial Real Estate Finance over at the American Bankers Association. Sharon Whitaker is my hero right now because she has just allowed me to make a ton of money. She has just opened up a massive new multi-billion-dollar market to appraisers all throughout the country because she spoke the truth. She understands what's going on, something that we've talked about for a very long time. In her response of increasing the de minimis, which I'm totally against, she has now opened up a multi-billion-dollar market, which therefore means I love her. I think she's great. Listen as she goes further here, folks. It says here, those in the industry must work together to ensure that consumers fully understand these changes. Additionally, in today's market, most buyers opt to have a home inspection performed. Such an inspection allows the condition of the property to be evaluated for purchase and allows the buyer, if the property does not pass the home inspection, to renegotiate the contract or cancel the anticipated buy-sale transaction, addressing one of the concerns of the Bureau. However, the point that the appraisal is attained for the mortgagee's protection should not be overlooked. Remember, the mortgagee is the lender, okay? So for the mortgagee's protection, that's the lender. We encourage the Bureau to consider a merged disclosure document that is designed to allow a consumer to understand and protect their intent in the transaction by allowing the consumer to clearly understand the difference between an appraisal and evaluation reports, the benefits of an appraisal versus an evaluation. She's saying it. She's saying it right then and there. We got to make sure that if we're going to go down the bifurcated path, if we're going to go down the new world valuation order that the banks are going on, then we've got to make sure that the consumers understand the whole process. We have to make sure that the consumers know that they should not rely upon this appraisal whatsoever. They should not rely upon the valuation, the evaluation, whatever it is. This is the best news that appraisers could ever ask for in a transitioning market, especially when it comes to redefining our businesses and how they work. We just needed a little bit of help. That's all we needed. We understood it was coming. We understood it because we had Appraiser Fest 2018. The way that Lori and I wrote Appraiser Fest 2018 was designed to bring appraisers to a different level of business, to a different clientele. We understood it. Now the ABA just backed us up. It's perfect. And all we need is a nationwide marketing campaign, and that's www.getmytruevalue.com. Works out perfectly. This is what it's all about. Our new service will be that of consumer protection. The more and more bifurcated the banks get, the more and more consumers need to be protected. And I know what you're going to say. Phil, they're never going to do it. They're just excited. They want to go out there. They want to buy their house. They're just excited. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you something right now. I'm not interested in getting 100% market share. Have you ran the numbers on this particular business proposal? Has anybody out there ran the numbers? If I run the numbers right now, I'm going to give it away. Besides, the big companies already ran the numbers. They already knew. I'm developing a 90-minute presentation for booth sponsorship at investor conferences for getmytruevalue.com. And the funny part about it is one of the conferences I'm looking at going to is a single-family rental conference. Guess who's already a booth sponsor? 2 appraisal management companies and CoreLogic. They know what's coming. They've ran the numbers. Would you like me to give them to you? There's 5.5 million homes sold in this country per year. Do you know that? On average, about 5 to 5.5 million. And of those 5.5 million, I would estimate 28% of them are cash transactions, cash buyers. That's a no-brainer right there. Sell your services to a cash buyer. That's a no-brainer. I think that's wonderful. But think about it for just a minute. 28% of the market out there is cash buyers. All you have to do is get 10% market share. If you get 10% market share, that's 550,000 appraisals a year. 550,000 appraisals with 2,000 to 3,000 working consumer protection appraisers out there. Think about the numbers for just a minute. You're looking at, with 550,000 appraisals a year, you're looking at a market that's anywhere between $150 to $250 million per year. $250 million. All the real estate agents out there that are listening from the syndicate just went, I think I may look at becoming an appraiser now, because they're going to need valuation consultation. They're going to need it because the agent's going to want to have it. The agent's going to want to have their protection for their consumer. If you only get 10% market share, folks, you're in the money. And that's my goal. My goal with getmytruevalue.com is to get the word out, to get the message out that this is what you need to do. And folks, this levels the playing field. GetMyTrueValue.com levels the playing field with the appraisal management companies, because now the AMCs become our direct competitor. Whoever gets to the consumer first wins. It's as simple and easy as that. Whoever gets to the consumer first wins. It's just like a title company. Do you want to get an owner's policy or not? And speaking of title companies and title policies, that's going to be very similar to the way appraisals are these days and in evaluations. Let me give you an example. How many of you are interested or familiar with title policies? Well, sometimes a title policy costs this much money, maybe like $500, and sometimes a title policy costs more. Why does a title policy cost more? Do you know why? Because of all the exemptions. See, title policies have exemptions. So the more exemptions you have, the cheaper the title policy. The less exemptions you have, the more expensive it is, because it covers you on more things. Now, the same thing holds true when it comes to opinions of value. Now, this is going to be an absolute nightmare for regulators. So this year at Arrow, guys, you're going to have a lot to talk about. First of all, you got to figure out if these things are legal or illegal in your state. The bifurcation. Is that legal or illegal in your state? Make a decision, and make a decision this year now. Please, because you can't regulate that way. That's unfair. You have to tell us. You can't leave us in the dark. It's not fair to appraisers out there that are performing bifurcated assignments. Now, you're going to have 2 different kinds of assignments when it comes to a transaction. You're going to have the bifurcated assignment, and then you're probably going to have the full assignment that the homeowner ordered. And there could be some complaints lodged at the state level because some selling agents, real estate agents, if you're listening, let me tell you something, syndicate members. If you're a real estate agent and you report an appraiser to a state official or state board, I just got to say one thing. Karma is really, really nasty. And if you're reporting them because you got mad because you didn't get your deal done and you didn't get your commission or whatever it is, I'll tell you something, folks. If you don't pay for it in this life, you will the next. And it's not nice. I'm telling you right now. You're putting people through a very, very bad situation. Something that actually we're going to change a lot throughout the course of the next 4 to 5 years when it comes to regulation. So you have these 2 different kind of appraisals. Now you have one that has, instead of exemptions, it has more extraordinary assumptions and hypothetical conditions. So technically, because of all of its extraordinary assumptions and hypothetical conditions, it's got a credible opinion of value. And that credible opinion of value, with all the hypotheticals And all the extraordinaries could be somewhere around $200,000. But then you have another appraisal done. You don't have as many extraordinary assumptions. You don't have as many hypothetical conditions, aka less exemptions. So therefore, that credible opinion of value is maybe 175. So you've got one opinion of value at 200. You have another opinion of value at 175, both credible, both supported, both backed up, but one has more hypothetical conditions and extraordinary assumptions and the other one does not. Agents, you need to understand that, because not all appraisals are created equal. They have different scopes of work, and some of them have different hypotheticals and extraordinaries and all those other things. So you can have these compliant reports, but you can have two totally different values. Well, that's going to be a regulatory nightmare, isn't it? Because you're going to have people upset, and they're going to get mad. So I really do believe we need to work with regulators throughout this country and say, hey, look, you know what? Enough is enough of taking a complaint from the neighbor's dog. Enough is enough from taking complaints from non-intended users and non-clients of appraisal reports. Enough's enough, because your regulation is going to get in the way of our new form of business, and that new business is third-party, unbiased consumer protection. And we can't deal with frivolous complaints and frivolous lawsuits from emotional people that, number one, are not intended users, and number two, if they are going to report an appraiser, should have a review of the report done to the standard 3 guidelines of USPAP, or have their own appraisal done to prove them wrong. Boy, Arrow's going to be crazy this year, isn't it? All these things we got to bring up at Arrow. I don't even know if I'm going to the Arrow conference or not. I don't know if I'm allowed to go or not, but I sure hope they do bring them up, because there's a lot of things that are taking place, especially with the Great Transition. You got to get ready to regulate under the Great Transition. Things are going to be different. And now it's all about not so much the public trust, but the consumer protection. What's ironic is that the banks went with the bifurcated models to save time and money. And I know a lot of you out there going, well, the consumer, the buyer, is not going to spend the extra money on the second appraisal. Really? I really, really do hope that they're getting a good discount on that bifurcated product. So they're not coming out of pocket full fee for that bifurcated product. If they are, call the AMCs. Find out what their margin is. So hopefully they're getting a little bit of a savings there, and that way they'll have that extra money left over to order their own appraisal. But if they don't, and maybe the AMCs are overcharging for the bifurcated, then in their attempt to do something faster and cheaper, what's going to end up happening is it's consumers to protect themselves and to make sure they're making the right decisions, and real estate agents to protect their own consumer and themselves in a transaction. The consumer is going to have to spend more money. The natural checks and balances of the old system, which has always been this way, that's always been done. The bank's appraisal is always done for the bank, but there was always a natural check and balance. The full appraisal was done, but now it's gone. It's over with. This is actually going to cost the consumer more money, because the federal government went to Fannie and Freddie and said it's time for you to modernize. Well, because of their modernization, the American consumer is probably going to end up, well, paying more money. And the American appraiser, we're going to transfer our business over. GetMyTrueValue.com is going to work with brokers throughout this country on a corporate level. Oh, yeah, we're going to be making some deals. Oh, yeah. And by the way, the new 2.0 version is really cool, because what you do is, instead of having your listing, you have an icon as well. So you click on your icon and it'll open up to a full page. You can actually have your GetMyTrueValue.com landing page be your website if you want it. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. If you don't have a website, what we're developing right now should be out in about a month or so, is a new display. So we'll display you on the icon. Remember, it's a first come, first list, so your icon's going to be up at the top. And your icon will be there, and you click on that, it'll open up a full page. You can put out your whole full spread. You can put out all your designations, a gigantic bio for yourself, whatever you want. You can put it on there at GetMyTrueValue.com. This is perfect timing for all of this. This is great. This is the great transition. Boy, regulators, if you have any questions or any comments or any concerns, I'm at info@voiceofappraisal.com, info@voiceofappraisal.com. Again, I'm not against bifurcation if it's done for the right reasons, if it's done for the right scope of work, if it's done for the right risk assessment. I'm not against bifurcation. A little bifurcation every now and then is a little healthy for you, right? But you bifurcate too much, you're going to get market blind. You don't want to become market blind. So I don't have a problem with it every now and then, but when you try to mainstream it to every single loan that's out there, well, then you're going to have all of these consumer issues that the lovely Sharon Whitaker has brought up in her letter to the OCC, the Federal Reserve, and the Treasury Department. This is the best thing that's ever happened to us, folks. This is the best thing that's ever happened. 10% market share. 10% market share of 5.5 million homes sold. 550,000 appraisals. What you charge is what you charge. Now, are you looking for a product? Are you looking for something that you can sell to them? Don't worry, we got it. We got that on the way, too. I'm not going to lead you blindly into this, folks. We got that going, too. Welcome to the new world. Welcome to the new market. You have got to bring knowledge and discernment to the American consumer. There, I just let it out of the bag. Everybody's going to be stealing that one. And all the sausages that are going to be at the sausage parties this year, for those of you that are syndicate members, sausage, again, is corporate appraisal propaganda. Just remember that. AMC's corporate appraisal propaganda. Those sausages are not going to be able to compete with me in my market area, given my statistical analysis, given my probability analysis, given my opinions of value, opinions of macro and micro data. They're not going to be able to compete with me. They're used to dealing with the 1004 form. They're not used to dealing with what I'm talking about. Roto-Rooter never put the local plumber out of business. If these guys are Roto-Rooter, trust me, you're the local plumber and they're not putting you out of business. You're developing your business. And you just need a good marketing message behind it. And that's where GetMyTrueValue.com comes in. I do know that a lot of people out there are saying, Phil, you keep on talking about your new product. You keep on talking about your new product. Yes, I keep talking about my new product because guess what? The world is changing. Your bizometers may go down really quick. And we're in this business, folks, to make money. We're in this business to make the cash. And you take that cash, that money, which is stored labor, and you put it into asset classes like real estate, and you retire on that. That's how that works. It's been that way for a long, long time. It's very simple. So, yes, I am going to talk about Get My True Value a lot. And the reason why is it's exciting. It's what's going on. It's the great transition. These are exciting times. And I tell you something else. It's very important for real estate appraisers now to carry a designation that will have you stand out among other appraisers. Why don't you look at the ASA, the American Society of Appraisers? Why don't you look at the AGA, the American Guild of Appraisers? Now, Mike Ford, he was a little critical. He was a little bit critical about the name, GetMyTrueValue.com. He didn't like it. He didn't like the name because it sounds a little bit AVM-ish, sort of like one of those AVM type of sites. And I can understand that, but that's good. That's what you want. You want an AVM-sounding site because it drives traffic in that direction. As soon as someone goes on there and says, this isn't an AVM site, this isn't one of those nasty online, untrusted, screwed up algorithmic sites. This is a site that gets you to real estate appraisers. GetMyTrueValue.com. Whoever gets the consumer first wins. Real estate agents, listen to me. We are your friends. We're not there to destroy your deals. That's not what we're there to do. We're there to derive third-party opinions of market value. And sometimes we're there to analyze data. Sometimes we're there to provide you discernment and knowledge. And it's now time, because the ABA has said it, it's now time that you make sure that your consumers, that your buyers, especially your buyers, are protected within these transactions. Regulators got a lot on our plate in 2019, don't we? We have two species, a second species of appraisal that has just been developed. It's like walking around with a bunch of Homo sapiens and a bunch of Neanderthals. You got the one and you got the other. It's unbelievable. You got a bifurcated one, and you got one that's done for the consumer. And you got to regulate both of them. And maybe the bifurcated one, maybe that was done by a non-appraiser. That's an evaluation, which means you can't regulate at all because it's not going to follow USPAP standards. So don't even worry about it. Regulators, I'm sorry. You just got handed a bunch of crap this year because the government said you got to modernize. But I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm looking at a new billion-dollar market. A billion-dollar market for real estate appraisers that sells itself. Consumer protection always sells itself. You know, I watched a congressional hearing the other day when it talked about the new Fannie and Freddie conservatorship plans and all of these things. And I just saw all of the drama. And I saw all of the headache and the political this and the political that. And you get into these banking things, folks, it's maddening at the amount of politics go into the lending world and in the banking world. What to do with Fannie Mae? What to do with Freddie Mac? Do we take them out of conservatorship? Do we break them apart into 25,000 different banks? How the hell do you even carry capital reserves on $5 trillion? Because there's not enough money to do that. And not only that, but Monetary Mel Watt, he basically said they're not questioning their constitutionality. They're really set up in an unconstitutional manner. It's a complete 150% shit show on the banking side. And I don't like shit shows. I like a calm world. I like to know where I stand, both in the products that I offer and those who regulate me. I don't want to be part of that. But consumer protection, that's separate from all of that craziness. Consumer protection sells itself. Consumers need it. Real estate agents need it. And you can provide it. Real estate agents, syndicate members, thank you for listening today. I really appreciate it. I want you all to go to www.getmytruevalue, getmytruevalue.com. If there's not an appraiser in your area, email us at info@getmytruevalue.com, info@getmytruevalue.com, and we'll find an appraiser that you can work with over the course of the next year. You're going to need to have that good appraiser relationship to make sure that your buyers are covered, especially if there's a PIW. That's what's known as a property inspection waiver or an appraisal waiver. Remember, your contracts could be changing. With what the ABA is saying here, your contracts could be changing. Lawyers are going to get involved. Realtors are going to get involved. And there could be some new disclosure forms coming out as well. All of this is going to be important for you to understand, and it's going to be very important for you to have a good relationship with a real estate appraiser. Agents, don't worry about it. We're ahead of the game. We know what's coming down the pike. We've got our network of appraiser representatives for you, and we got you covered. I don't know, guys. I think it's exciting. I think it's a wonderful time to be an appraiser. It's a good time to open up a brand new market. Remember, appraisers do really well when we work for people with skin in the game. When we work for people that truly need to have our services, our knowledge, and our discernment. Cheer up. If your bizometers are down, cheer up. Better times are ahead. For those of you that are interested, I probably will be back in 2 weeks. I've got to go down to South Carolina. I'm going down to SCCAP. I'm going to hang out with Dale Bailey. I'm going to hang out with Tim Hillman, American veteran, American appraiser, Tim Hillman. I'm going to hang out with him. I'm going to hang out with the good people down there in the coalition of South Carolina. Folks, I'm even going to be hanging out in the room with Reva and Phil Crawford in the same room in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina on March 1st. Wow. Now that could be very, very exciting. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show for this week. And as always, I would like to thank you for listening as we journey through the mysteries and complexities and the good news that is, in fact, the real estate appraisal business. I would like to thank my producer, who's not here today, Kevin. He's around here somewhere in the radio station. I'd like to thank Kenny, for all the hard work he does on the show. And God willing, I'll be back here very soon, continuing to report from the front lines of the real estate market. In the meantime, you kiss your spouse, you hug your children, enjoy your day, be safe in the field. You've been listening to Phil Crawford on Voice of Appraisal. We'll talk very soon.